Hello, my name is Sally Pinto, and I'm the Program Director for the Yonkers NORC, Neighborhood Naturally Occurring Retirement Community. We serve seniors 60 plus in Northeast Yonkers. We are under the auspices of WJCS and the Yonkers Office for the Aging. We also have a resource specialist and a nurse on staff. We conduct virtual programming in partnership with the Yonkers Public Library on a daily basis. Enjoy the program.
So we're going to go ahead and get started just like usual. You can be seated or standing, just really being mindful of that nice elongated spine. Okay, rolling the shoulders back and down. We're going to chin tuck. Ready? Here we go. 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, and 1. Now our head turns. All right, always coming back to center. Here we go. Turn, center, turn, center. 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10. All right, we're going to go for our warm-up. We're going to go for time today. We're going to do 40 seconds of work, 10 seconds of transition time. We're going to start with our seated cat-cow. I do like this one seated just because I feel like you can get a better kind of arch. You don't have to worry about that balance and stability as much. The other ones you can choose to do seated or standing, okay? So we're going to start with 40 seconds. All right, we're kind of towards the edge of our chair. We have our hands on our thighs, right close to the front of our knees here. Let's get ready and begin. We're going to round the back, tuck the chin, and then we're going to exhale, lift the heart up to ceiling. Okay, so you're really trying to think of that flexion and extension through the spine, right? Really mobilizing the spine here. We're all just sleeping for hopefully 10 hours last night and laying on our backs or our sides, and it's time to kind of wake up that spine and get everything moving here. So just really trying to visualize that flexion and extension through the spine. We have 5 more seconds here. 2 and 1. Okay, and I lied. This one's better off seated too. Our next exercise, we're going to twist and then arc over, twist. Okay, so we're going to keep those hips forward because we're seated here. We're going to arc it over, twist, twist. And now we're stretching out the spine in a different direction, a different plane of motion. The little table's kind of in the way here, but I'm working around it. So also kind of waking up the shoulders here too. Turn side to side. Go at a pace that doesn't make you dizzy. We're just trying to feel that stretch. Should feel good. Still lengthening through the spine too. We're sitting up nice and tall. Right? It's active work just to sit up without letting your spine kind of round down. Okay, and time. All right, so next we are going to our cherry pickers. So if you're seated, you're going to come a little wider than your shoulders, so you have room to go out, middle, in, up, out, middle, in, up. If you're standing, you don't have to touch the floor. You're just kind of reaching out and then towards the middle and then in and then up. Pushing the hips back. This really ingrains our hinge pattern here. My legs are straight, but my knees are not locked out. Okay, there's still a slight bend, but you should feel a really nice stretch through the hamstring, especially in the standing position. 3, 2, and 1. Good. All right, our next warm-up exercise is our straight arm push back with our butt kicker. Okay, so now we're getting the knees, the shoulders, the hamstrings, okay? So seated, I'm on the edge of my chair here. Standing, it's more of a heel kick and kind of kicking your heel towards your glute. I'm just going to feel this quadricep to warm up. And get those blood flow to the knees, to the shoulders. Shifting our weight side to side. 10 more seconds here. 3, 2, and 1. Kicking my chair, guys. Kicking my chair. All right. So next, we are doing our alt knee lift. Okay. So from our seated position, we're going to be. All right. So really feeling those abs engaging. And we're also firing up the back muscles by pulling down, pulling those elbows down. So I'm not focused on lifting up, even though my hands are doing that. My arms are lifting up. I'm more focused on that pull down, right? Good. Five more seconds here. 2, and time. Okay. All right. So from here, we're going to go into our first block. So go ahead and get a drink, and I'm going to go into our first block. Little bit of a, there it is, 45-15, and it's going to be a superset. Okay. So we're doing 2 moves. One is somewhat new. We've done both of these movement patterns. Okay. But now we're going to put them together. Okay. Your option, maybe option round 1, you want to stay with your arms crossed. And if you feel comfortable there, or you may know yourself, you can always add a weight and kind of just hold it right here. Okay. All right. So we're going to do our sit to stand. All right. So remember, your feet are about hip to shoulder width apart. I like to go somewhere in between for this exercise because you don't want them too close together and you don't want them so far apart that it's, challenging. Somewhere right where you feel nice and stable. Okay. So from here, we're going to drive up through the heels, squeeze the glutes, and then from there, we're going to do our hinge, okay? And then squeeze the glutes to stand back up, and then sit it back down, okay? So sit to stand, hinge, squeeze the glutes, and down. Let me show you that from the side, okay? I just want you to get a good visual of this because this is the first time we're doing this one together, okay? So we're going to get our feet from hip to shoulder width apart. I'm going to drive up through my heels, hinge it forward, see that? Squeeze the glutes back up and sit it down, okay? So you can see we've got a squat pattern and a hinge pattern. I love putting these two next to one another because you really get to see, okay, sometimes it's hard to say, well, what's the difference between one pattern to the other? You can see with your sit to stand, there's so much more knee flexion than with your hinge pattern, okay? So again, if no weight, you could be right here, or you could have one weight right here, okay? You do what feels comfortable for you there. Now, your seated option, I'm on the edge of my chair. My feet might be out slightly wider because I want to be able to hinge forward, and I'm really thinking of staying elongated through my spine here, okay? We're not rounding, we're staying nice and active through this movement. So I'm hinging forward, squeezing my glutes to lift back up, and then leg extension, okay? I'll do that first. Otherwise, we're doing the sit to stand. In fact, I'm gonna do the standing one first because we're familiar with our seated versions, okay? We've done those a lot more together, okay? So the next one, curl and press, okay? So this looks the same seated or standing here. If for some reason going overhead is an issue for you, you can either try to do something like a full range of motion with body weight, trying to work through mobility without weight here, okay? Or you can take it to just bicep curls. So they're your 2 modifications, all right? Okay, so let's go ahead and get ready. We're gonna do our squat to hinge pattern. Remember, if you're seated, you're hinging here, and then leg extension. I'll do that on the last round, okay? But just for all of you who are standing, I'm going to do it standing first since it's new. Here we go. In 3, 2, and 1. All right, we're driving up through the heels, standing up, taking a bow, right? Nice and long through the spine, and then sitting it back down, okay? Squeeze the glutes up. Hinge, feel the stretch to the hamstrings. Squeeze the glutes again. and then sit it back down, right? The weight stays in the heel of the foot. The more we can squeeze and contract those glutes, get that mind muscle connection through the glutes, the more it helps with our core engagement, right? Tucking the pelvis in and under in that pelvic tilt. All right, so stay focused. We only have a few more seconds here. And time, okay? And remember, go at a pace that works for you. If that feels like it makes you a little dizzy, slow it down, okay? You do not have to go at my pace. All right, so next one, curl to press. All right, so this looks the same, seated or standing. All right, I'm gonna do this one seated. If you're standing, make sure you're tucking your pelvis, squeezing the glutes, right? That's gonna give you a nice, strong, and solid trunk of the body, which is gonna make it, you're gonna have more output for your limbs, for your arms to do the work, okay? If you're nice and solid through your midsection. Right, so tucking that pelvis, squeezing that glute. Remember, you can take this to just a bicep curl. Maybe there's a pattern you'd like to do, maybe 2 curls and 1 press. And that way it reduces the amount of times you're going overhead, okay? So play with your variables there. Okay, all right, round 2. All right, so we're going back to our sit squat to hinge pattern, okay? I'm gonna do this round standing as well. Here we go, 3, 2, and 1. Drive it up. Nice and focused. Remember, you work at a pace that's good for you. I'm really focused on when I'm standing up, pressing through the heels so that my glutes get really involved. And then the same thing after I stretch from my hinge, when I'm coming back up, I'm thinking of squeezing my glutes to lift myself back up. Good, 5 more seconds here. And time, okay. Second round of curl to press. I'm gonna do all 3 rounds seated here because I've got this lovely ceiling fan blowing on me right here and I don't wanna, potentially hit it. Okay, so stand here if that's better for you. All right, here we go. The movement is the same, seated or standing. So if you're standing, you're keeping those glutes, that pelvic tuck, those glutes engaged. So we're getting the biceps and the shoulder. Good. We have 1 more round after this, and I will do the seated variation for our hinge to sit to stand. Almost there. 2 and 1. Woo. And remember, if this starts to get hard for your shoulder, if you're having any shoulder issues, maybe just try a range of motion exercise like this, no weight, or just simply your bicep curls, okay? All right, final round. I'm gonna do, this is our sit squat to stand. I'm gonna do the seated variation this time. So I'm hinging, my feet are a little bit wider, and then a flexed foot leg extension, flexed foot leg extension. Hinge. All right, I'm trying to, when I flex my foot and extend my legs straight here, I'm trying to really feel that quadricep work right here. When I'm hinging, I'm staying nice and long. I'm squeezing my glutes back up. So we get our quadriceps and our glutes in this movement. 10 more seconds here. Think of pushing those hips back, right? All right, so it's pushing the hips back versus the head coming forward. Okay, final round of curl to press here. All right, seated or standing. All right, if you're standing, make sure you're tucking that pelvis under a little bit, squeezing those glutes so you're nice and solid for your midsection. Here we go. Curl, press, bring it back. Remember, if you need to make your own sequence here, you know, 2 bicep curls, even 3 bicep curls, and then 1 overhead press, just to reduce the amount of overhead pressing you're doing. Especially as we accumulate our fatigue here, you can, you know, play around with your pattern here. It's not really a one size fits all, you know, sometimes we have to adjust according to our own unique body. 3, 2, and time. Good. All right, let's get hydrated here. That is our first superset. Okay, so next we are going to go into a 9-minute tri-set. That's 3 exercises for 45 seconds of work, 15 seconds of transition. Now we started with this one last week. Okay, so I'm going to start showing you the standing variation. Okay, which is it's kind of like a, and you may not even really need your chair if some of you are advanced, but it's, you know, I would still stand in front of it in case you find that you want to, you know, use it at some point in time. So basically my feet are about shoulder width apart here. Okay. All right. My toes are facing forward. I'm searching for the chair behind me, like we usually do with our sit squat. So my butt's looking for the chair, right? But it's not there. I'm going to drive up through my heels, flexed foot. I'm going to lateral leg raise. Squat, flex foot, lateral leg raise. Okay, so I want you to think of guiding through that heel of the foot, all right, and leading through the heel, okay, not the toe, because what happens is when you're leading through the flexed foot, you're getting into your glute medius. When you're leading through the toe, you're missing the muscle, okay? You're just kind of like externally rotating out, so make sure your foot stays flexed and the heel is what guides that. It's not about how far you can get it out, okay? It's about just feeling the engagement of that muscle on the side there, okay? You're gonna be working that standing leg too, okay? And you'll probably feel a stretch through your inner thighs as well in your groin, all right? Now, the next one after that is right into our alternating lunges. Yep, I did that. Okay, so we're going from our squat to lateral leg lift to our alternating lunges, okay? And then after that, we get a break from the lower body and we're gonna go into our goalpost external rotations here, okay? I would only use like 1 pound weights or water bottles here, if anything, or just nothing at all, okay? Just do work on range of motion here, okay? All right, so now our seated variations, which I'm going to start out with, is our leg extension, lateral tap. Leg extension, lateral tap. That's for our chair squat to lateral leg raise. Our alternating lunge is our alternating leg press, okay? And then the goalpost external rotation is identical, okay? All right, so here we go. Block 2, this is 9 minutes long. We're starting with our holding the back of the chair squat to lateral leg raise. Remember, you're leading through the heel of that foot if you're standing. Okay, let's get ready and begin. I'm starting with our seated variation. Okay, so that's our leg extension. And even with my seated variation here, I'm thinking of my heel tapping the ground here. Okay, so I'm out to the side, the heel still leads it. Good. Move at a pace that's comfortable for you. Just remember to stay nice and present with your body. Okay, really try to feel those lower body muscles working. Remember, it's the quality of the movement that we do over, just trying to get a whole bunch of reps in, right? Make it count. 2 and 1. Okay. So next we're going to our alternating lunges. So if you're standing, you can stay at the back of your chair there. Okay. And remember, use that 4 count if you need to. So break up the movement. Okay. I'm going to be doing the seated leg press. Ready? Begin. So I'm slightly leaned back for the seated variation, pushing some imaginary heavy object away. Remember, the time is a guide. If you need to shave off some time, start a little late, stop a little early, get an extra drink, maybe take a 5-second, 10-second break in the middle of it. You need to listen to your unique body, okay? And remember the difference between just a little like muscle, you know, like you're working those muscles and acute pain, okay? Knowing the difference and when to push and when to slow it, pull it back, okay? All right, next exercise, break from the lower body, okay? Remember, only water bottles here, maybe a 1 pound weight here, okay? Because we're working on mobility through the shoulder, all right? And strengthening the posture muscles. We're squeezing back, all right? Then we're lowering and lifting together. Squeeze back, lower, lift. So if you're seated, you're really elongating through your spine. You're in that active seated position, okay? Length between the vertebrae. And if you're standing, you're making sure that pelvis is tucked and your glutes are squeezed so that there's not too much a curvature through the lower back, putting stress on it, okay? 10 more seconds here, and we go back to the top, and I'm going to move into our seated or standing variations. If you're doing seated, please feel free to stay there. And time, okay? Back to the top. So if you're seated, it's going to be your leg extension to lateral tap, leading through the heel. Okay, and if you're standing, we're doing our chair squat, putting on the back of the chair with that lateral leg lift. Here we go, ready? Begin. My feet are about shoulder width apart, driving through the heels of my feet, leading through the heel as I lift my leg. So you can see this common theme that when we focus on the heel, it helps get into our glutes, whether we're pressing them down into the ground to lift us up, or whether we're letting our leg come out to the side, we're letting the heel guide us. And again, don't worry about the range of motion, how far out that leg goes. Just think about the muscle that you're working here on the side glute, okay? Two and one, okay? We're moving into our alternating lunges next, or if you're seated, we're doing the alternating seated leg press, okay? In 3, 2, and 1, and go back, down, lift, return, back, down, lift, return. You go at your own pace. I like to break it up like that though, so I make sure I keep the integrity of the movement, okay? We're really paving that neuromuscular pathway here. Once you feel like you've got a good handle of it, it's okay to move a little quicker once you feel like you've really got a good grasp and understanding of the movement, okay? You're really pressing through the heel. So you feel the glute and the quadricep work. We have 3 more seconds here. 2 and 1, okay? Rest from the lower body. You might feel your heart rate elevated here slightly because there are larger muscle groups. We're working a little harder when we're using those bigger muscle groups. All right, here we go with our goal post. Okay, we're gonna pull those elbows back, squeeze the shoulder blades together, lift, or lower lift. I think this is sometimes called like a scarecrow exercise too, for the obvious, kind of reminds you of the scarecrow. Remember, if you're standing, I'm really squeezing my glutes here, because if I don't, as I'm trying to squeeze back, let me show you. This is me with my glutes squeezed and my pelvis tucked, right? And then if I let that all go, do you see that that arc? That puts stress on my lower back, so I have to tuck and squeeze my glutes to help mitigate that pain, okay? That stress right there. 2 and 1, okay? One more time through. So if you're seated, you're doing your leg raise to heel guided lateral tap. And if you're standing, we're doing our back of the chair squat to heel guided lateral leg raise. Feet are under shoulders. Here we go. Sink it back, drive it up. And I'm really just trying to keep my body, like my torso and my upper body straight. It's not a kick where you're like kind of like bending your whole body to one direction. In order to get into that glute medius area, you want your upper body to stay relatively vertical. And be mindful after you do your lateral leg raise to coming back to shoulder height underneath or shoulder width underneath the, with the feet there. Okay, time. All right. Back to our alternating lunges, moving at a pace that's comfortable for you. In 3, 2, and 1. And you might be advanced. You might just need a finger on the chair here. You might not need the chair at all. You know you, okay? Some days you might feel more like it than not. I know in particular, there's been a few people with the, allergy season kind of starting again. I might be dealing with some of that like inner ear fluid from allergies and everything like that, which sometimes can, throw our balance off, make us feel a little bit more dizzy. Okay, so just, not every day is going to be identical to one another. So if you're feeling symptoms from allergies, anything like that, that vertigo feeling a little bit, make sure you're using something for balance and time and take extra rest. Okay, know your body. All right, last goalpost to external rotation. All right, starting together. Here we go. Squeezing the glutes. We're going to pull back, down, up, return. Thinking of squeezing those shoulder blades together. Think of good posture here. Strengthening the upper back, strengthening the shoulders, and all those tiny little muscle groups that help us with our range of motion, that mobility through our shoulder joint. The hips and shoulders are tricky joints, right? They're ball and socket joints, okay? So they've got a lot of different movement patterns that they can do. So we really try to pay attention to all of those different directions they can move. Nice and well-rounded. 3, 2, and time. Okay, shake it out. Let's get a drink here, okay? We are moving back onto another superset here. And we started with this one last week. This is a 6 count movement. I'm going to show it standing first. We did this last week. This is where we're going to, feet are underneath the hips. So see, this is under the hips. This is under the shoulders. For my squats, I might be more here. For my hinge movements, I might be, like more right under the hips, okay? All right, so from the side, what that side profile looks like is our hinge. So you see how those hips go back? It's not me trying to go forward like this, right? It's me trying to push my hips back and my head just follows, right? And then row, and then at the top of our row, kick back, return, and then up. So it's a 6 count. Here we go. Because it is, the coordination is there. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 1. Okay, that's 1 rep. Okay, so it's a 6 count movement. I suggest that if I'm going to start seated. So if you're standing, I suggest counting out all the 6 movements. Okay, so one more time. It is hinge, row, kick back, return, return, up. Okay, one more time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay. All right. So your seated variation is going to look the same. You're just going to be doing it at the edge of your chair here. Okay. Hinge, row, kick, back, down, up. Okay. And then our second movement is our half bicep curl to no money drill. All right. So halfway up and then out. So again, like I said, that ball and socket joint, we have our shoulders move in a variety of directions. So we're training all those little muscle groups as well as our biceps in this movement. Okay, that's the same seated or standing. So let's go ahead. 3 rounds through, starting with our 6 count hinge, row, kick back, and then back up. Okay, so here we go in 3, 2, and 1. If you're seated, I'm on the edge of my chair. I'm going to hinge, row, kick back, return, return, up. Now I'm going to count it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Almost there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. Good. All right. Moving on to our no money drill. Okay, that's that half bicep curl to no money. Okay. Let's get ready. And 3, 2, and 1. There we go. Half bicep curl, out, in, return. Okay. You're standing, you're still keeping those glutes tucked, right? That pelvic tilt. Good. We're past halfway. And then we're going back to our combination move of our hinge pattern, our row, and our tricep kickback. I will be moving to standing next round. 3, 2, and 1. Excellent. Okay. So remain seated if that's better for you. I'm going to do the side profile, and I'm still going to count out for a few reps, and then I'm going to be quiet so you can move at your own tempo here. Okay. Toes are forward, under hips. Here we go. I'm going to push the hips back, row it, tricep kick back, return, return, up. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I said I was going to stop counting, but I did it all the way to the end because I forgot. And time. Okay. No money drill. All right. Half bicep curl to our no money drill. Whew. Okay. So you're standing, you're tucking the pelvis under, you're squeezing the glutes. Okay. Here we go. Half curl. Externally rotate. I'm keeping those shoulders close to the rib cage, or those elbows close to the rib cage. Good. 15 more seconds here. And then we have one more round of this. And time. Okay. One more time through. Seated or standing. Going back to our hinge to row to tricep kickback. My feet are, and this time I'll go forward. My toes are straight forward underneath my hips. Okay. So we're going to push the hips back, row it, kick back, return, return, and up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I'll let you count out now so you can move at a tempo that's good for you. Good. 5 more seconds, probably one more rep. And time. Okay. Next, we are going back to our half bicep curl to no money drill. You can always do this without weights. Okay. Adjust your weights. I'm feeling as we go through our sets, it's feeling a little more challenging for me every round. So we're a half curl, out, in, down. I'm squeezing my glutes because I'm standing. My elbows stay close to the rib cage. 10 more seconds here, and then we're on to our final block. And time. All right, get a drink. All right. On to our final set, and we are going for our cardio again. Okay, so expect to feel a little bit warmer this round. Okay, your heart rate should be elevated slightly. Again, and listen to your body. Okay, it's very humid today, so and again, with the whole allergies kind of coming into play, listen to your body. If you need extra rest, please take it. Okay, the time format is just a guide. All right, so our first one is nothing new, same as seated, jab, cross, hook, hook, jab, cross, hook, hook, okay? All right, our second one is new. So from a seated position, if you've taken step aerobics, you're probably gonna remember this. A little bit of nostalgia here is it's our V step, okay? So out, out, in. So here's our seated variation. Okay, kind of making that star, okay? And then if you're standing, it's our out, out, in. Okay, so these outward, upward steps and back down, okay? All right, so we're working, when we do this movement right here, when we make this Y shape with our body, we're getting our middle and lower traps in our body, okay? And these are really important things. If they're weak, this is what our posture looks like. When we strengthen this area right back through here by doing things like these Y raises, it helps pull everything up, okay? So we need to pull up from down here, and we need to strengthen back here too, and that's what helps create, think of that V of pulling our posture up, okay? Along with stretching in the front here, all right? And then our last one, still love this one, rope pull, right? You're ripping something down. There's a little bit of gusto with this one, okay? All right, so there are 3 moves. I'm gonna do our first round seated, okay? Feel free to stay standing. We're starting with our jab, cross, hook, hook. In 3, 2, and 1. We got those knuckles up. Move at your tempo too, okay? We're trying to get that coordination down. And think of that like tenseness through the muscles, like you're trying to keep them contracted and thinking of squeezing them helps put a little power behind your movement. Slow it down if you need to. Three, 2, and 1. Okay. Next one is that V step. So it's out, out, in, okay? Yep, got that lateral raise. Okay, we're thinking of pulling out and back, right? Out and back here. And ready, and begin. Here we go. And there's coordination to this too, right? So don't be upset with yourself if it's feels a little awkward at first. Just think you're exercising your brain, right? And when you pull back, you can almost feel, think about that, in the middle of your spine, okay? Upside down triangle there. That is your lower traps and some of your middle traps there. We're working that whole area there. Again, strengthening that area is going to help pull our posture up. Two and 1, okay. Next one is our rope pull. Okay, so remember whether you're seated or standing especially, you're like a tree trunk, right? Nothing, from your torso down is all nice and tight, squeezing and tucking the glutes. That's going to give you that intensity that we want here, okay? Ready? It's like we don't like a sign that's up and we're ripping it down. That's what I always think about, because there's some intensity behind that pull. Halfway. Almost there. 5 more seconds. 2 and 1. Okay, that's round 1. I'm going to move to standing, but please feel free to remain seated if you'd like. I'm going to move my stuff back just because of the V-step and the ceiling fan here. We're going back to our jab, cross, hook, hook to start, okay? Knuckles up, here we go. Jab, cross. Really focus on keeping those knuckles up to protect your face. Move at a tempo that's good for you. Almost there. 3, 2, and 1. Woo, okay. Should feel a little up round 2, okay? It kind of accumulates. Going back to our V step, our out, out, in. Remember, think of this pattern right here. That out. See that rotation? Okay, here we go. So it's I'm going to switch up my direction. Did you see that? So I'm switching up my lead leg. Don't worry about it if you're still trying to get that coordination down. It's okay to stay on the one while you're learning the movement. And time. All right. Next, we're going into our rope pulls. And the nice thing about that Y raise too is you get that nice stretch through the front of the shoulder. So again, you know, these are nice little exercises you can do if you're like, you know what, I don't know what to do today. Here we go, rope pull. Maybe you set a timer for 1 minute, then you do 1 minute of V steps. And that's it. Okay, maybe you come back and do it again a few hours later. Okay, every little bit helps. It creates healthy habits. So if you're looking for ways to get yourself self-motivated, don't try to do something that feels too much. Like something that's not going to, you know, like something just, oh, I don't feel like it, you know. If you say, oh, I'm just going to do 1 minute of this and I'm going to space it out 3 times throughout my day, that's 3 minutes of extra movement that you wouldn't have otherwise done. Okay, so, you know, it's the little wins, guys. Okay, good. All right, 1 more round through. It's the small wins. Okay, they all count. You kind of stack them up, right? You know, they all those little wins make one big win in the end. Okay, all right, final round. Jab, cross, hook, hook. Here we go. Maybe you drank an extra bottle of water today. Win. Maybe you did some light stretching while you're watching TV. Win, right? It's all healthy habit. Maybe you eat some avocado toast today. Win, right? Good for your food. And time on those, okay? V steps are next, all right? That's that out, out, in. With that, you can see that rotational diagonal pattern right there, right? Working the shoulder in many different directions here, okay? Here we go. So I'm leading, for me in particular, my left foot is always coming forward first. And then, here I go, I switch it, right. Okay, I'm not sure if I look backwards to you guys, if it looks like my left. So I try not to say left, right too much because it could look the reverse. But, you know, I'm going to switch again. Okay, so I'm switching my lead foot. You don't have to. All right, this is an option right here. Get the pattern down first, but if you're feeling strong, if you remember, I'm switching again. Here we go. I'm doing every other. All right. See, if you were a step fan, you probably remember doing these. Okay, time. Last one, rope pulls. All right, final round. All right, I'm like a tree trunk off through here. Okay, I'm getting that pelvic tilt. It's a small movement right there, but it does wonders for this lower back and protecting here. All right, we're halfway, and then we're going to stretch out. Last 10 seconds. Three, two, and time. Okay, great work, guys. Get a drink. We're going to stretch out, okay? These can be done seated or standing. I'm just going to go right down the body. We're going to start with our neck and trap. Okay, so this is our upper trap where our shoulder is here. Okay, so we have three areas in the trapezius muscle, the upper, the middle, and the lower. Okay, so now we're stretching out our upper. And let's do the same thing, other side, pressing and gently pulling. Breathing. Nice big inhales and exhales. You know, maybe you do some deep breathing through your day, right? Big, like 5 seconds in, hold for a second, and then 5 seconds out, okay? Do that for a few sets, win, okay? Those little, it doesn't have to be like this 1 hour class like I'm doing with you guys. And like, you know what I mean? Like think of your small wins. They all add up, okay? There we go. So you're kind of feeling that stretch through the, I'm visualizing the back of my shoulder kind of like lengthening there. And I'm also feeling the stretch through the front of my shoulder here as well. I'm breathing. And then same thing, other side. Okay. From here, let's take our palms, put them onto the small of our back, whether we're seated or standing. Okay, just be at the edge of your chair here. And I'm pulling my elbows together like that. I'm trying to get them to touch and heart to ceiling. Okay, your head can be wherever you want. I like to say heart to ceiling so that if you have neck strain, you don't have to look up if it doesn't feel good, but you can if you prefer. You should feel the stretch through your forearms and also through the front of your shoulders and chest, okay? Good. Now, next one here. Take the back of your chair, okay? Back of your chair, and you're holding on to either side, all right? And I'm just kind of trying to lengthen my arms. I'm trying to get, I'm trying to make a 90-degree bend through my hips, and I'm trying to have my ears in line with my upper arms there, okay? This is a nice stretch for the shoulders, and it's also a nice stretch for the hamstrings here. Now, if you're seated, okay, you can stay there if you're standing. If you're seated, just go ahead and with your feet wider, go ahead and give me a passive stretch where you're just kind of like leaning forward here. You can always put your hands on your thighs if you're worried it feels like you're gonna fall forward here, okay? Just passively feel that stretch through the body, okay? That's your seated variation. Good. All right, let's gently come up from there. And our final stretch is going to be a hamstring stretch. If you're standing, you can go ahead and prop your leg up. If the chair is too high and you have something of a little lower elevation, you can use that, but we're just stretching the back of the leg here a little bit further. Okay, my foot is flexed. All right, and if you're seated, you're just kind of on the edge of your chair and you're just elongating that one leg and hinging into it this way, okay? All right, so a few more seconds on this side. And then let's switch it out to the other side. Here we go. Seated or standing version. And I'm just like hinging, I'm trying to close my hips, you know, like a suitcase or a clamshell, okay? So you've got a nice deep stretch through the back of the legs here. Excellent, all right, and then from here, let's just go ahead and take a big inhale up, palms together, exhale to heart, and one more. Inhale up, palms together, exhale to heart. And that's a wrap for today, guys. I hope you.
Hi, everyone. This is Z from Yonkers Public Library. Thanks so much to Sally Pinto and Alexis from Newark. Thank you to our community partners, WJCS, the City of Yonkers Office for the Aging, Friends of Crestwood Library, and Yonkers Public Library for making this phenomenal partnership. And we thank each and every one of you for being part of our wellness community. Be well, stay well.